What to watch for in this game? Is this the most anticipated game? Is this the biggest game in the history of the Michigan football program? You have to make a tough argument to me that it is not. Nothing means more than if they win. You're going to face a Texas or Washington team that I think Michigan absolutely can beat. You're facing the SEC champions. You're facing the greatest coach, and not just the college football history, I don't think. I think in the history of football, in Nick Saban, that just took down the team that couldn't be beat, the Georgia Bulldogs, who was going for their third straight national championship game. This is the most important game in the history of this program. I think Michigan's going to get this win. So the things I'm taking an eye out for, things that I think could happen, should happen, might happen, and if do happen, what it means for this program. First off, does Michigan come out looking fresh and clean and playing to win? Just think back to the game against TCU. It was the early game, right, in the day. So it was in the afternoon on New Year's Day. And the difference between that Donovan Edwards went right up the middle for 50 yards, but somebody had cleared an angle on him, tackled him. I can't remember, it was maybe at the 20-yard line or something like that. And had he gone all the way, like he had just done against Purdue and Ohio State twice, that game might be over at that point, right? That game might be over. Michigan's in the national championship game. But then they get cute, okay? They get cute with trying to go for it on fourth down with a little Philly special triple toss around to you guys. Just absolutely terrible play. Like Colston Loveland, the true freshman, was the best option they had over J.J. McCarthy to throw the ball at the end zone. Okay, on fourth down. Then the next play, you're inside the 5-yard line again. You hand the ball off to Kalel Mullings. I get Donovan Edwards isn't the best guy, but hey, man, you saw J.J. McCarthy from the 3-yard line against Ohio State. Just bang that bad boy in. The first half against TCU, absolutely shameful. A complete coaching disgrace, in my opinion. I'll continue on this topic, but I'll ask you guys this question. Have you guys ever been to a Rose Bowl? I think I'm going to my 5th Rose Bowl, I believe it is. Been to some Michigans. I've been to some not Michigans. 5th Rose Bowl. Interesting thing I'll tell you here, Jack. A little inside baseball, inside Yoder's life. 2008 Rose Bowl, January 1st, 2009, with girlfriend, now wife, friend from high school, well after, lived in LA at the time, and we was like, okay, cool. Let's get up. Let's go out to the Rose Bowl. Let's have some lunch. We were some people out there. It was Penn State and USC, right? And let's go to the Rose Bowl. And we just didn't want to pay a lot of money, okay? And so, like, face value is like $250, et cetera. Like, tickets just didn't come down in price. Guy found us. We asked him, we had a security guard. Other security guard, like 20 minutes later, runs over. Hey, who'd you guys looking for tickets? This security guard, let us pay him, right, $20 each to sneak us into the Rose Bowl. And he's like, I got some empty seats for you guys. This is kind of almost the end of the first quarter this time. And sneaks us into the Rose Bowl in the media entrance and sits us down in handicapped seats in the corner end zone. And then second half, Penn State was getting blown out. We went and sat like the 40-yard line because there's so many empty seats. But nevertheless, I did sneak into a Rose Bowl one time. Saw last week, though, Cowboys ticket taker guy got arrested for it because he let in a bunch of people without tickets to go doing standing room only, like taking cash. So hopefully my guy didn't get arrested back in the day. Have you guys ever been to the Rose Bowl? Let me know in the comments. Next one up for Michigan is the offensive line push, right? They've got to impose their will to the big boys, right? Without Zak Zinter, right? But it's not just imposing it running. Michigan, you saw against Penn State, even with Zak Zinter, right? With Carson Barnhart flipped out there to right tackle. Now he's at right guard. Michigan just could not handle that Penn State defensive pass rush. The offensive line depth chart is what we expect here. We'll probably see some miles hitting in the game, but I expect that Trente Jones will be the starting right tackle. Carson Barnhart going back to his natural position there at right guard. Everything remains the same. So I think his offensive line needs to prove themselves. Are they getting a push? And you'll know it early on. But we've seen against Ohio State the last 2 years. Michigan can against Penn State in the second half. Michigan can wear teams down. That's that Joel Klatt boa constrictor kind of thing. But if they're just getting owned, you knew it against Georgia by the end of the first quarter. You knew it. I knew it. This game is over. Michigan cannot handle this basically NFL starting defensive line, which they all went to in secondary and linebackers, the guys that were pursuing the quarterback. But Michigan didn't go against that game plan. They just kept trying to force the ball to Hassan Haskins, force the ball to Blake Corum against Georgia 2 years ago. Can they get any push? And when J.J. McCarthy goes back to pass or read option, are their holes opening up? Are they holding their own at least? Maybe not dominating, holding their own, passing and rush blocking against Alabama. Let me ask you guys this question. 40 yards. J.J. McCarthy has 40 yards rushing against Alabama. I think they win the game. Just a gut feeling. I don't think he's done it this year, honestly. I don't think he's done it this year. He's done it in his career, but I don't think this year. Double check. More or less. Let me know what you guys think, more or less, for 40 rushing yards for J.J. McCarthy. Funny enough, Jack, PrizePicks has the number at 16.5, right? I went more on that all day. You don't know what you guys think, more or less, 40 yards rushing against Alabama. My take here, the offensive line needs to be healthy outside of Zak Zinter. All right, Miles Hinton's been banged up. A couple guys here and there. Drake Nugent has struggled here and there. I mean, hell, it's a funny story. Zak Zinter said he had like a cast on his hand when he broke his leg, and they were afraid to pull it off of him, etc. He said he didn't even need it, but he was just having it on there to kind of protect a prior injury that he had. They must use the mammoth package, not every time, but they must use it at times to take advantage of Alabama's defensive line when yards are absolutely needed. But let me just put this out to Jim Harbaugh, who I know watched the show time and time where clips are sent to him. Use the mammoth package 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, whatever it is, and then throw the damn ball when they're not expecting. Hell, even have an offensive lineman eligible or something like that. Throw the ball out of that mammoth package, because Michigan really, in the 9 years of Jim Harbaugh, but I think 7 years since they've used it, 8 years, they used it in 2016, I've never seen Michigan throw the ball when they have 6 or 7 offensive linemen in the game. But what I have seen is myself win with PrizePicks. I love PrizePicks. They are the absolute easiest and fastest way to play daily fantasy sports, and you don't have to play against other players. You just pick more or less on 2, 3, 4, 5, or even up to 6 players to win up to 25 times your money. My PrizePicks for the Rose Bowl are as such. I asked you that question, more or less, for J.J. McCarthy. 40. PrizePicks says it's 16.5. You pick more or less. I thought more was easy for me, but what do I know? Jalen Milroe, I'm going more than 32.5 yards for him as well. I think it's his strength and what Alabama will play to do. Colston Loveland, 36.5 yards. He has got to be involved. I think him, A.J. Barner, or Donovan Edwards, one of those pass catchers that aren't wide receivers, need to handle the receiving duties for Michigan, for the Wolverines to get the win. I'm going less. I don't think Blake Corum has got as much zip, and I don't think Michigan's going to be able to get those kind of yards. 71.5, I'm going less. And then Jermaine Burton, the best receiver for Alabama, I'm going less because of his quarterback, mostly in Michigan's secondary, and 53.5 yards. With PrizePicks, it's just you versus the numbers. You're not playing against anybody else. You're not worrying about fantasy lineups or anything like that. More or less, you can mix and match sports. I went all Rose Bowl, mix and match games. I can go NFL, college football, NBA, one from each one. And think about how well you know your teams, whether it's the Lions, Michigan football, the Pistons, they stink, etc. Mix and match sports to have an advantage to win with PrizePicks. If one of your picks gets injured in the first half, doesn't return in the second, boom, reboot policy. You are not penalized for that. And then flex play. You saw that with this one. I'm picking 5, but I still win. If I pick 4, I get 2 times my money. And even if I only get 3 out of the 5, I'm getting 10 of that $25 back. And you can get up to $100 back in deposit match when you use our code CLNS. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Link down in the comments. Link in the description of today's video and the live chat. PrizePicks.com /CLNS. Use the code in the link. Support the show, our sponsors, and get yourself up to a $100 deposit match. What will Michigan do with Jalen Milroe? He's not the best passer Michigan's ever seen. He's not the best runner Michigan's ever seen, but he could be an interesting combo of a different quarterback that Michigan doesn't know how to prepare for well. Now, I've got an inside scoop is Michigan's talking to Mike McDonald. Michigan's talking to the offensive staff of the Ravens, who has shut down Lamar Jackson in the past. And what have they done to limit maybe the best scrambling and passing quarterback in the history of football, college or pro combined, right? Heisman Trophy, and the quarterback of the best team in the NFL, best record with the 49ers in the NFL right now. You got to spy him. You got to contain him. And you think about what Jalen Milroe is. He wasn't there at the start of the first game. He got benched after they lost to Texas for a game. Then they brought him back because the guy behind him stunk, is now playing lacrosse back at Notre Dame. But nevertheless, Jim Harbaugh can beat big-time quarterbacks. Let's take a look at who Jim Harbaugh, as a head coach, has beat in playoff games, in NFL playoff games, the height of the sport. You think Jalen Milroe is going to be a quarterback of an NFL playoff team? I don't think so. Drew Brees, Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion. Aaron Rodgers, Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion, 3-4-time MVP. Matt Ryan, Super Bowl participant, was almost Super Bowl champion, 28-3. He was going to have a Super Bowl win. Tom Brady took that back from him. I think he won an MVP too, didn't he, Matt Ryan? He might have. Aaron Rodgers, one more time, back-to-back years against Aaron Rodgers. And then Cam Newton, NFL MVP, Heisman Trophy winner, and Super Bowl runner-up himself. Jim Harbaugh beat all those guys in the NFL playoffs. You can't think he can beat Jalen Milroe, but I feel like an idiot sometimes because I went back to my notes from last year's game, or 2 years game against Georgia. I used that same damn graphic, and that's just why it's so hard for me to comprehend. I said, you can't let Stetson Bennett, a 5'10 walk-on, beat you if you're Michigan. You got this defense with David Ojabo and Aiden Hutchinson and Dax Hill, right? 3 first-rounders. I know, what's his name? Ojabo went second because of the injury. But Stetson Bennett did beat him, and that Georgia team did beat him. They crushed Michigan. And I just look at that. I can't comprehend how Jim Harbaugh was so damn good in the postseason in the NFL and has been so bad at Michigan. They beat Alabama, win the national championship. All that is forgotten. You got to spy. You got to contain him. You just can't let him break off 40, 50-yard runs. He's got 12 rushing touchdowns. 8 of those 12-yard touchdowns are from outside of 5 yards. So it's not just all sneaks. He breaks contain in passing plays, and he hits the hole, goes up to the end zone when the teams are least expecting it. How about the third quarter? Michigan has dominated the third quarter, went the first 10 games of the season without giving up a point in the third quarter. Alabama's a hell of a third quarter team too, right? It's one thing I did not know about them until I started looking at what they've done this year. They're a better third quarter team than they are a fourth quarter team. So whoever wins the third quarter, whoever comes out of that halftime, I think is going to have a real advantage in this game. Let me continue on this in a second, but I'll ask you guys this question. Predict the score. I'm sticking with my prediction. 24-17, Michigan wins this game. Let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments or the live chat. 24-17 is my prediction for this game. I don't know how you guys are feeling on this one. I think Michigan's going to get some points we're not expecting it, whether it's a pick six or a touchdown on special teams, and Alabama's going to really struggle to score, especially inside the red zone against this Michigan football defense. So who wins the third quarter is really just going to be about coaching, about preparation, and sometimes who wants it more, right? Michigan people would say, oh, they dominated so much this third quarter last year. This year it was all Connor Stallions. Bullcrap. They adjust well. This coaching staff knows how to coach together, but they're going up against Nick Saban, the best coaching staff maybe of all time. Not staff of all time. If Nick Saban's in the staff, it's the best staff of all time. That's as much as it is. So this is going to be a testament to Jim Harbaugh, his preparation. What does he hold back in the second quarter, in the first quarter that he wants to go to, that he catches Alabama off guard? Because it would be great to go into that fourth quarter with a 7 or 10 or 14-point win or lead over Alabama. Now, I'd be nervous as hell because just think about it. Michigan's up 10 points in the fourth quarter. How nervous you're going to be in the fourth quarter. That Alabama's going to score a touchdown, get the ball back, score a touchdown, win the game. I mean, I'm getting chills thinking about how nervous and anxious I would be in the stadium at that time. But I certainly would take that every day and 2 times on January 1st, twice on January 1st, over being down, 27-7 to Georgia or something like that, like you were last year. Or hell, I just realized this, Jack. I was unfortunately watching some highlights of the TCU game a couple days ago. I mean, after that second pick six, there's only like 4 minutes left in the third quarter or something like that. Like Michigan was down 18 points with like 18 minutes left in the game. Like that's how crazy, because a couple plays go wrong in the fourth quarter. I think Michigan could have pulled off the comeback against TCU. I'd much rather be up 10 than down 10, or hell, even 18 or more like against Georgia, like Michigan has the last 2 years. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. We need one more subscriber, Jack. We not got it since we went live. Okay, that's fine. Maybe we'll update it here and coming up. YouTube.com/Michigan TV. We're putting up content all through this holiday weekend. I'll do another original show or two, either Friday, Monday, or Tuesday or so, and we'll be live again Wednesday next week. Then I'll do some content from out in California, the hotel room content. But I think you'll enjoy anything that comes up, recruiting, Harbaugh contract, or otherwise. Remember, Christmas Day, Harbaugh contract. Make sure you guys subscribe, youtube.com/Michigan TV. How about some unsung heroes? Who's going to step up? It's one of the things with talking with Chris, our Alabama guy, who was in the live chat here before, that I think is awesome about Alabama as a program is in their championship runs over 15 years, typically they always have an unsung hero. Who is that one, the tight end the one year who ended up being a pretty good player? O.J. Howard, right? Just exploded against Clemson. He really had done nothing so far that year, was an All-American the next year. How about Devontae Smith, right? True freshman, catches a pass, like the number 5 wide receiver, catches a touchdown pass from true freshman to Tagovailoa against Georgia in overtime when it was 2nd and 26, right? 3 years after that, he wins the Heisman's All-American top 10 pick in the NFL draft. Who's going to be the unsung hero for Michigan? You guys may have seen this before, but I've identified these 3 guys. Donovan Edwards and Semaj Morgan, right? They're backups, right? Technical backups. Ernest Hausman might get starter snaps in this one. I think Hausman's a guy that they are going to rely on to get in Jalen Milroe's face, or fake like he's getting in his face, and maybe drop back and just spy him. Maybe have multiple responsibilities. Cover a wide receiver, a running back coming out of the backfield. If he doesn't, then if the running back stays to pass protect, then you are having your secondary responsibility on Jalen Milroe. So we'll see how it shakes out. Semaj Morgan, Ernest Hausman, Donovan Edwards. One of those guys, in my opinion, has to step up to be one of the players of the game for Michigan. And this team will be walking out of the Rose Bowl 7 days later, playing for a national championship against the winner of the Texas against Washington college football playoff semifinal, which ironically will play later that night. Not because it's a better game, because the Rose Bowl demands they play at 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 Central. So let me know what your score predictions are one more time. 24-17 is my score prediction. Let me know in the comments and in the live chat. So I'll see you guys next time. Go Blue.